Welcome to an hour of HealthMade Radio. HealthMade is a community for natural health seekers where we educate people about common health conditions and share extensive research on the most effective natural health treatments and promote legislation that protects our health freedoms. A core concept belief is in the innate intelligence and healing power of the body, and if properly supported spiritually, emotionally, and nutritionally, it can find its way back to health. HealthMade Radio will bring information from integrative health experts throughout the world. Check us out at healthmade.co. Health is what you make it. I'm Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, and I will be your host. Today's guest is Dr. Douglas Phillips. Dr. Douglas Phillips had previously practiced general dentistry for over 38 years. In the late 1970s, his traditional restorative practice began to shift to more specialized, focused patients with a chronic headache, facial pain, and jaw dysfunction. He became increasingly interested in why some of these patients healed with traditional treatments while others did not. In search of answers, Dr. Doug Phillips began to study biological dentistry in the early 1990s, where he learned that the body's immune and autonomic nervous system, the systems in charge of our survival, need to be cleansed of toxins and pathogens, many of which are lodged in the jaw before healing can occur. As a next step, he learned about autonomic response testing and direct resonance testing, techniques where he can then test and see where the corresponding dysfunction exist within organs and within areas of the body, and locating organisms and toxins, specifically at that time if it was present in the jaw. These were pathogens that needed to be eliminated for healing to begin and health restored. Dr. Doug Phillips targets the energetic aspects of everything from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and cancer to Lyme disease and multiple chemical sensitivity. Dr. Doug Phillips aims at the cause of the problem, not its symptoms. Dr. Doug Phillips is in no way practicing as a medical doctor, even though he was a doctor of dentistry. So, Dr. Doug Phillips, it's such a pleasure to have you on the air, on the show today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I love your introduction. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Well, one of the subjects that I'm really fascinated about, and this is something that I know you do a lot in your practice, is laser energetic detox. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is? What does it do?
Yes, laser energetic detox is a very quick, pretty quick, non-invasive method for removing a toxin in 24 and a half hours from the body. It utilizes, there's over 50 years of research into light and the light bodies that surround us as long as we're alive. With over 50 years of research by a Dr. Fritz Albert Popp from Germany, PhD. 50 years of his life was into that. And the current leading edge alternative doctors are utilizing his information about those light bodies because of how quickly and effectively they communicate with every cell in our body over 100,000 times a minute. So utilizing that, it's a tool created by God to work. It allows us to eliminate, and the body goes through a cycle. Everybody's body goes through the same cycle every 24 and a half hours. And as it goes through that process, the detox takes place on its own.
And why 24 and a half hours? I mean, why that?
Well, there's 12 acupuncture meridians, and each meridian is active for a little over 2 hours, and it's active while our vital life force, our life energy is traveling through it. In Chinese medicine, they call it your qi, which is your life energy. As your life, and everybody, get this, everybody that's in the same time zone has the same one active. So who says God is not organized?
Yeah.
So everybody in the same time zone has the same acupuncture meridian active, and it's active for a little over 2 hours every day. There's 12 acupuncture meridians, so for the body to completely run through the cycle, it's 24 and a half hours.
So just a little side note, I'm just curious. People that are traveling, you're saying that everyone kind of moves through the same cycle. They're in the time zone, and if you travel then to another time zone, will that clock then be interrupted?
Yeah, it's different. Like, okay, I'm from Florida. If I would go skiing in Colorado, it would take me about a couple of days to feel normal there because my body's in a different time zone, and that's why it's weird when we're traveling sometimes.
So it's not just the jet lag or the time difference. It's actually that those meridians that were supposed to have been cleansed, or that chi to move through those meridians, didn't really get to do that.
And they're readjusting.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's fascinating. I hadn't thought about that. So you're mentioning a German scientist, Dr. Alfred Popp.
Fritz Albert Popp, yes.
Yeah. And he did a lot of research in light and how we are impacted by light. And you're mentioning these energetic bodies. What are they, and what do they do?
The different bodies of light?
Yes.
Well, there's one body that's sort of close to our body. The next one is a little bit further out, and the one that communicates intracellular is at least like a yard out, all the way around. I mean, we've all felt it, but we didn't know what we were feeling. You could be sitting there and you don't even know, that comes up pretty close and is standing really close to you, and you're thinking, ooh, that person's in my space. But that's because they're light bodies combining with your light body without you really realizing it or knowing it, but you feel it. So it utilizes that. This procedure was originally put together by a friend of mine named William Lee Cowden. He's an MD, and he put together the laser energetic detox into a program. And then what he did was he got attacked by the Board of Medicine because he was alternative, like around 2000. So he called me and he said, Doug, can I come to your office in West Palm Beach to see my East Coast patients about one weekend a month while I get started with a new practice in Arizona? And I said, sure. So he did. And when he got here, he showed me how to do the laser detox. And he said, well, I'm seeing new patients. I want you to do laser detox on these patients. So, okay. So I did it. They would come back the next day, and I couldn't find a trace of the toxin I did. It was gone.
That's amazing.
So there was patient after patient after patient. There was no way that I couldn't incorporate that into my own personal protocol. So that's where it came from.
And how did you monitor whether the toxin was still there or not?
Well, you mentioned it during the introduction. There's something called direct resonance phenomena. That's if you have an identical substance outside the body, right outside the body, you have inside the body, and you're muscle testing, the muscle goes weak. It was discovered by a Dr. Yoshiaki Omura, retired MD and surgeon from New York, and it's in peer-reviewed medical literature, the direct resonance phenomena. So one of my favorite teachers, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, MD, PhD, and I both learned that from Dr. Omura, how to test with direct resonance testing in the mid-90s.
So because there's a lot of concepts that I know for the normal listener to be able to kind of grasp and figure out. So you're able to test them through something called direct resonance that was created by or found out about by Dr. Amora. And then we have the concept of muscle testing, which is then a way that you use to assess the body and what's going on in the body. Is that correct?
Yeah, see, the autonomic nervous system, an autonomic nervous system reacts energetically to toxins and poisons and different things like that. The reason it does that with muscle testing is it's in also peer-reviewed medical literature. Under the electron microscope, it was found there's a small sympathetic nerve from the autonomic nervous system going to every single muscle spindle of every conscious muscle in every one of us. And so whenever we do direct resonance testing, what we do is we get an autonomic response, and the muscle, when we're testing, seems like it goes weak. But it isn't that it goes weak, it just doesn't lock. It either locks or it doesn't lock. And that's direct resonance testing, and that's how muscle testing takes place.
Right, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. Then I want to kind of see if I could get even a better picture, stronger picture about the phenomenon that takes place. We'll be right back with Dr. Doug Phillips. Welcome back to Health Made Radio. You are listening to Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, and with me today is Dr. Doug Phillips. We're talking about a technique called laser energetic detox, and along with that, there are a number of principles that are important to understand. One of the principles is a technique called muscle testing that is used in order to be able to determine what kind of substances that may be stressing the body. So, Dr. Phillips, you were mentioning about this nerve that was connecting to every fiber. It's almost like it's a network that's connecting to every part of the whole body. Mm-hmm. And you were saying that through muscle testing, you can then access information through what's going on within this nervous system, and how does that look like when you do the muscle testing? You were talking about a muscle going weak or a lock. I mean, what is that?
Well, let me go back a little bit further. When I first learned autonomic response testing using the autonomic nervous system as a guide, we would get a person that tested strong, and we thought they were good, but they would say, but I still don't feel well, because we were missing something.
And when you're saying testing strong, what does that mean? And
when we test a muscle, it would lock.
Okay, and is there a certain muscle you use, or is it any muscle?
Well, I use the arm. You could use the leg or whatever. Any muscle in the body that you're using to test with will lock. And then when it doesn't lock, you're getting an autonomic response. So there was a certain time when we get a person with the type of testing we were doing that would be strong, but everything tested strong the way we were testing, but they still felt sick. Because what happened was there was a change in the organisms and a change in the way that they were stored. Earlier, all the organisms, bacteria, fungus, virus, parasites, all of them had a cell wall. And so they would live outside of our cells in our body. And that's how we would test. But if they are inside the cells, what happened, a certain time period happened when they shed their cell wall, they evolved, they changed. And they didn't have a cell wall any longer. And when they got into us, since they didn't have a cell wall, they could go inside of our cells and live inside of our cells using our cells as a cell wall, which made them invisible to the kind of testing we were doing unless there was inflammation into the extracellular space. Follow me?
So the testing you were doing in the past, that was just what's called a straight muscle testing.
Yes.
And then you evolved and found a different type of muscle testing called autonomic response testing.
Well, even on top of that, we found something. It was called direct resonance testing.
Yes. Okay.
That is, if you have an identical substance outside the body, you have inside the body, the muscle doesn't lock. It goes weak. For example, if I have a histologic slide of the human liver, I can go right over the liver, the muscle goes weak because it's identical. You can put it any place else in the body and it stays strong. So that phenomena allowed us to find organisms that we weren't finding because they live intracellular. So if we have a sample of the organism with direct resonance testing, if it's in there, the muscle goes weak. Do you follow me there?
Yeah, so with that then, let's say a person is dealing with cancer, for instance, and maybe there's a retrovirus that would be implicated within the cancer, and obviously a retrovirus would then be incorporated within the genetic of the cell, which would be inside the cell, not floating outside. So then with direct resonance, you can then grab a vial of that substance and hold it over the area, and through the direct resonance, then a normal arm that would be strong, if you would push on it, it would actually then go weak because you have a relationship or direct resonance between the substance inside the cell, which is a retrovirus, and then also outside the cell, which is a vial that you're holding.
Exactly.
Is that about right?
You're right. And once you find that, I use herbal nutraceuticals. They're all for different organisms and different strains. If you put the solution to the problem, what would kill it on the body, it would cancel that and it wouldn't go weak anymore. So you're able to exactly locate herbal nutraceuticals with direct resonance testing. Also, you can even test medications that way to find what resonates exactly with it. So you're not guessing what works, you're finding what works, and then you can train the person to take it, and you're successful.
So, because these substances, they have a certain frequency. So let's say if we continue them with the retrovirus, and the arm goes weak because you have that direct resonance between the vial you're holding outside the body, and then you have the retrovirus inside, and then you would then add a nutraceutical like an herb, vitamin, mineral, or something like that.
Right.
And that would then, you said, they cancel out the frequency of the toxin or of the virus, the pathogen, and then it would be as if that retrovirus would not be in the cell anymore because you've given the body the solution.
Right. And it allows you to pick the exact solution.
Yeah.
So you're not guessing.
That's amazing.
It's like, well, we'll try this for a couple months. No.
Yeah.
You can pick the exact one.
Yeah, so it's like a kind of like a laser sharp technique that obviously if you do draw blood, you only see what's floating around in the blood. You can't see what's inside a cell. Here you can actually then, through the autonomic nervous system, pinpoint exactly what is within a tissue, within a cell, and then at the same time find the exact remedy that would negate that.
That's right. So what we're doing is God has provided us the tools to find out what we need.
That's amazing. And then as a next step, then you're then using light. Light to be able to correct. Let's say you have that retrovirus within the cell, and you want to address that. How do you use laser light then to correct that?
Well, I use laser nutraceutical laser. I use laser to get rid of toxins. Toxins are not living. Toxins are just like they're chemicals. They're toxins. They're metals. All those different things that aren't living. We use laser energetic detox to eliminate those, to stimulate the body to get rid of those in 24 and a half hours. That's different from how we get rid of an organism. We find out what herbal nutraceutical will resonate exactly with the organism we're after, and then we train the person to take it so that it goes into every single cell in their body for 5 to 6 hours after they take it, and we train them exactly what stops that from working. That's called selective drug uptake enhancement procedure, and that was also in peer-reviewed medical literature by Dr. Yoshiaki Omura. Dr. Klinghardt and I both learned that at the same time in the mid-90s.
And how does that, that it sounds very fancy, and I would assume that there's a very specific technique that the patient uses while they're taking the supplement.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes.
And
there's various things. Once we train them how to do it, we have about an hour and a half appointment on the second appointment to train them how to take the herbal nutraceuticals that we've located that would work for them. And then, so what we do is we give them a dose of it, and then we have them, we use a magnet. Not that a magnet's a great thing, but the magnet, we use it over a part of the brain called the medulla oblongata for 5 minutes. And that opens up all the pathways in the body for the energetics of the herb to go into every single cell in the body for 5 to 6 hours. So once they do that, it will work. But there's certain things that will stop it. One thing they have to do after they do it, and we train them how to do this, to take the herbs only once a day, and that's at bedtime, because they have good control of their environment then. Several things stop it from working. One is synthetics. So after they take it and use the magnet, they have to be wearing cotton, silk, or wool. Their sheets, pillowcase, and comforter need to be cotton, silk, or wool, or they'll be sitting there with a smile on their face and nothing will be happening. Something else that stops it is jewelry. So they have to take off the metals. This is just at bedtime. Another thing that stops it from working is electromagnetic radiation. Most of us live in sleep in a bed that's going up against the wall, and right next to the bed is a plug. That will stop the herbs from working. And so what we do is we have diodes that we have placed on those things to stop that from happening. So we have a specific treatment plan, and we train them how to do it so that it works. So we aren't to say, here, take this and try this. We go all the way to train them how to exactly do it. Follow me okay?
Absolutely. We're gotta take a quick break here. This is amazing information. We'll be right back. You're listening to HealthMade Radio. I'm Dr. Michael Karlfeldt. I am chatting with Dr. Doug Phillips. Welcome back to HealthMade Radio. I'm Dr. Michael Karlfeldt. I'm here with Dr. Doug Phillips. We're talking about a revolutionary technique, a very powerful technique called laser energetic detox, and we're going through some of the principles that's important to understand in order to be able to fully understand how laser energetic detox work. So we've been able then to find a solution or find what it is that is plaguing an individual, through the direct resonance testing. And then we use laser energetic detox in order to be able to clear that, and also to pinpoint and see what kind of nutrient or nutraceutical they need. And then there's a specific technique to take the supplement in order to be able to drive it to actually all cells throughout the body. And then you're mentioning that there are certain things that interfere with the body's ability to utilize that supplement. And you're mentioning the electromagnetic field around where you're sleeping, and synthetics like your bedding, the clothes you're wearing, jewelry, and so forth. So so that's how you then take the supplement that will then kind of negate the frequency of when we find out, let's say, that there's a, again, retrovirus in the cell. We found a supplement that neutralizes it, and now we take it in a certain way to make sure that that nutrient goes into all the cells. So, but then you're mentioning also, in order to be able to clear the body of metals and chemicals, you use and also a technique called laser energetic detox that works on a 24.5-hour cycle, and that's because it clears all the 12 meridians, the Chinese meridians, and each meridian has a 2-hour window that it functions on. So when the laser energetic detox, I mean, how does that work? Let's say that you have somebody that has been dealing with silver fillings. Their brain is just toxic from mercury, impacting their nervous system. They may be dealing with MS as a result, or some other kind of neurological symptom. They got brain fog, thyroid's impacted. What happens next? How do you detox that from the person?
Well, you mentioned mercury. Mercury is like the trickiest toxin that there is. You have to have the exact form of the mercury to do direct resonance testing with in order for it to show. And I have 8 different forms of mercury. And then what we do is, with mercury and with other toxins, what we do is we have over 90 flowers. The way God made things is that flowers resonate with emotions. So when we have the toxins, we find, energetically testing, what flowers resonate with the emotional complex binding the toxin. And those are the flowers that we use using the laser detox. Say we're going to be detoxing today, say we're going to be detoxing nickel. So they'll come in, we'll lay the flowers out, maybe there's 3 or 4 different flowers. We'll use what's called a photon pulsar to go over all the deep areas with the toxin just to be sure it gets in. Then there's an organ representation of the entire body, or everybody, on the bottom of the feet, the palms of the hands, and the ears. So we take the flowers that resonate with the emotional complex binding the toxin, and we'll laser the feet, hands, and ears with those flowers. Non-invasive, very simple. Automatically, it erases the emotional complex binding the toxin. So then we take the toxin, we laser that on the feet, hands, and ears. Then we have the person stand up, and we'll go a distance from them, and we'll laser the whole body. It seems like we're lasering the whole body, but we're really lasering all the layers of light that surround the body, that communicate with every cell in the body over 100,000 times a minute. We do that on the front, and we have them turn around, and on the back. Then they sit back down again. Then we have vials of the organs, glands, neurotransmitters, and hormones. We laser those on the feet, hands, and ears. So that's the final part of the release. Then the laser detox is over. The person, if they come back the next day, 24.5 hours later, we can take that toxin and test them. We will not be able to find a trace of that toxin in them.
And you test them through
completely gone.
You test them through the direct resonance testing.
Direct resonance testing, yes.
So, what kind of impact? I mean, let's say you've now lasered the nickel or the mercury or whatever it may be out of the body. What kind of actual results do you see?
Well, what it does when you laser those toxins out, the organisms living in them, which are causing illness and dysfunction, they thrive in a toxic environment. So it allows us to get the internal environment clear Sometimes there's a result that they feel symptomatic result. Oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Sometimes they don't feel anything, but you can't find it, and it's not there, and it's not interfering with the organisms, and it allows our herbs to work better because the organisms are weaker when they're not in a toxic environment. So there's several different aspects to it.
So it's kind of like in order to get rid of the rats, you got to clean out your apartment. So you can't just be chasing rats and still have foods around that will attract them.
Exactly.
So it's the same in the body. By clearing out then these toxic substances, you change the environment, which makes it harder for pathogens to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So so we've cleaned out then these heavy metals, and then we create an environment where the pathogens can survive not as well. And what physically do you see? What have you seen? Do you see a direct physical effect from this laser energetic detox? Do you feel better? Can you think clear?
Sometimes you feel quickly better, or you feel better for a while. But see, there's more to it than the toxin, because if they have Lyme disease, or if they have rickettsia, or if they have cancer, they have organisms that we need to kill to get rid of that, so that feels better. This is a step. Laser energetic detox has allowed us to move into killing the organisms and resolving chronic illnesses so much more quickly than going to an MD, have an IV this, IV that. 3 months on this IV, 4 months on that. It's just changed the whole picture.
So can you give me some examples of some patients that have come in, you've done this process, and then at the end of the day, this was a result? And you went through all these different steps. You tested them through the muscle testing and direct resonance testing. You found these chemicals, toxins. You used laser energetic detox to clear that out. Then you found these pathogens. You used these natural supplements to support the body to fight off those pathogens. And then what happened? What have you seen by going through this process? Because you've done this for many, many years.
Yes, and you have to have, once we do the exam, we sit down and we make a strategic treatment plan. Part of the strategic treatment plan is how many appointments do we need for laser detox? That'll clear the terrain. But another important part of the strategic treatment plan is if they have fungus or mold in them, you're going to get nowhere with treatment until you get rid of the fungus and mold. And then if they have fungus and mold in them, fungus or mold in them, they'll have a staph infection in their sinus called Marcon staph. It stands for multiple antibiotic resistant coagulase negative staph. It automatically forms in the sinus if somebody has fungus or mold. It forms a dry biofilm so they don't realize they have it. But what it does is it depletes 3 hormones: melanocyte-stimulating hormone, vasoactive intestinal polypeptide, and vasopressin. The depletion of those 3 hormones causes chronic inflammation in the whole body, making it so you can't get rid of anything. Even if you did get rid of all the toxins and take the right herbs, with the chronic inflammation, Lyme disease is happy. See, so there's a strategic treatment plan. Also, in this strategic treatment plan, you can't kill Lyme disease if they have parasites, because the parasites can have Lyme disease. It's larger. So you have to have a plan to get rid of the parasites first.
I want to get...
And if you have cancer, which is viral, you can't get rid of the cancer until you get rid of the parasites, get rid of the mold, get rid of the Marcon staph. You get all the information during the exam, and then you make a strategic treatment plan. You train them how to take it. You get rid of the toxins. You kill the organisms in the strategic order. It's it's an important thing to do.
It's a very methodical process, I hear. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're taking a break. You're listening to Health Made Radio. This is Dr. Michael Karlfeldt, and I am talking to Dr. Doug Phillips. Welcome back to Health Made Radio. This is Dr. Michael Karlfeldt. I'm here with Dr. Doug Phillips, and we are talking about an amazing technique called laser energetic detox and how it can be utilized in your healing process. And around that, there are a bunch of other therapies that can be used to guide an individual through their healing journey. And it starts, Dr. Phillips was mentioning, it starts with a very extensive intake, understanding what's going on in the body using a direct resonance testing technique. And by doing that, you can then create a plan as to what the plan of action is. And you were mentioning, you were saying that before getting rid of Lyme, you have to get rid of parasites, and before getting rid of cancer, you have to get rid of whatever pathogen that might be driving it. So it's just a different, more holistic type of thinking, in that you don't just go after one thing. You have to look at the whole of the body. Like you're mentioning that the Lyme is a smaller organism than the parasite. So if you kill the parasite, then that Lyme will be released into the system. So there's really no reason to kill the Lyme before killing the parasite.
Right.
So, so with this and creating this strategic plan, and let's say you have an individual that has gone through this whole plan. I mean, what is the result? What is end result? Let's say you have somebody with MS or cancer or whatever it may be. What have you seen? I mean, I know that we can't cure anything. We're just here, just supporting the body's own healing mechanism, and the body is the own amazing healer. And the best doctor there is our own unique body. So we're just there guiding it and supporting it through that journey.
Right.
But as you have walked with people dealing with some pretty serious illnesses, I'm sure, because I know people fly from a little bit all over the world to see you.
Yeah.
What are some things that you have seen? Some people have been in pretty dire straits, and they come to you, and what are some things that you've seen?
Well, I mean, I have people that weren't working that are now working and have a job, and they're happy with their family, and they got their life back. Because if you have chronic pain and chronic illness, it can be the center of your life. But if you didn't have that there, the other parts of life could be present, and you can enjoy it. That's what you want, and that's what I feel like I'm here.
Absolutely, and I know you look upon this as a calling. I mean, obviously, you can make a whole lot more money being a dentist, but you do this because this is what you love. This is the reason I'm here. Yeah, exactly. So let's say something as dire as cancer. I mean, people usually think that the only solution is chemo, radiation, or surgery. Would something like this then be beneficial as well?
Absolutely. I had one man. This was about 15 years ago. One man who had a tumor on the side of his neck, cancerous tumor. He was referred to me. And I checked him over, and on that side of his mouth, on the lower jaw, he had a root canal tooth. Now, root canals, there's a filling material that has a byproduct of, it's called thioether. Thioether is carcinogenic. It can cause cancer. So I tested the man, and I found thioether in his tumor. And as I'm looking in his mouth, I said, "Oh, you have a root canal. You'll have to see your dentist, and we have to get that out so that we can." He said, "Okay." So about 2 days later, I'm checking him again, and I think, well, I'll just kind of nudge him a little bit and see if he saw his dentist. I said, well, by the way, did you get a chance to see your dentist? It's out. I said, what? He said, that tooth's out. I said, oh, great. You got to get it out. Within like a month and a half, he didn't have a tumor anymore. I couldn't find a trace of cancer. He went back to his oncologist, who couldn't find a trace. And you think the oncologist called me to find out what I did? No. But it was just having a strategic treatment plan, find out what was wrong, eliminating that, and then it allowed healing. And God does all the healing.
Yeah, exactly. And that what a much more elegant way to support the body get rid of the cancer instead of radiating it or cutting it
yes.
and then doing a chemotherapy that will then really destroy the immune system, and then having the person then trying to get out of that. So I know we're wrapping up. It's really truly amazing what you do, and I'm really fascinated with the techniques and how elegant it is using the autonomic nervous system to and then the direct resonance test to pinpoint the exact substance that you're dealing with, and then finding the substance, the natural substance, to help to negate that, and then also using the laser energetic detox to help to clear the toxin out or the heavy metal out, and just develop that strategic plan to guide a person towards health.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's truly amazing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
And that is, and that's what we do here at the Health Made Radio is that we want to bring the most up-to-date and most powerful information so that you can support yourself through your healing journey. And Dr. Doug Phillips is truly master in what he's doing. That is all for today. I'm Dr. Michael Karlfeldt with Health Made Radio. Connect with us at healthmade.co. Health is what you make it.